Hey plant people, welcome. Long time no see. I know, let me tell you. Okay, so first of all, this video is probably going to be quite chatty in the beginning because I have stuff to catch all up on because I've not been around for like the last month and a half. So keep in mind, if you are coming to this video, the plan is I'm going to catch y'all up with some stuff that's been happening. I am going to do very brief. This is not going to be like an official plant collection walkthrough because I'm hoping to, before too long, do like a full I can't even talk. Okay, bear with me. I've not filmed in a little while, so we are just going to have to get back into the swing of things. But I am planning to do a full plant collection walkthrough in the coming days. Don't know when that's going to happen because that is a very trying video. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of coordination to make that look good, sound good, blah, blah, blah. However, so that is going to be in the future. This will just be like a very general overview of the way that I've got stuff set up right now. We are not going to go through plant by plant, just like a general, this is what things look like in my growing like area. Also going to do just like some general updatey type things, some things that have been growing really well, looking really cool, things that are worthy of getting updated on. So what I'm going to do is updates, very brief walkthrough, updates on some of the plants. So life update, quick plant walkthrough, update on plants. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put timestamps in the description, which means that if you look down below the description, there will be little chapters for you to click on. So if you are not here for the chatty catch up, no hard feelings. Like, I'm a rambler, I am a chatter sometimes. So if you want to skip over that, totally cool. I will put the chapters so you can just go and click on the portion where the plant stuff actually starts. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, then let's get to it. So clearly, first and foremost, I have not been present for the past, I think it is a month and a half or almost 2 months at this point. Let me tell you, I have definitely been wanting to film at times, but I have just had so much going on. If you have not seen some of the previous videos when I talk about this, I am in school right now. So I am on my like last 2-ish semesters if you count summer. So I have summer and then fall to get my degree in cybersecurity. So that takes a lot of focus and brain power and energy to get through those classes because they are not for the weak. So I've got that going on. I also work full time. I also have pets and a very large plant collection and a husband and a home to take care of and hobbies that I like to enjoy. So I'm trying to find a way to fit filming reasonably into that crazy schedule. However, like I said, the last couple of semesters for school, so after this fall semester, I will be all done and I will have much more free time to film, etc. So I'm very much looking forward to that. So I've had that going on. Obviously, like, we all know how life is, right? Like, there are things that you want to do and you literally just don't have the time or energy for them. So the largest life update, we have gotten another dog, which that sounds a little unhinged. I realize 2 dogs is quite enough in most scenarios. 3 dogs sounds a little crazy to most people. However, I will preface this by saying that the 2 dogs that we currently have are dogs that I had prior to me and my husband meeting and getting married and our whole relationship, blah, blah, blah. I have a very senior dachshund mix that I adopted from animal control 14 years ago. He's like 15. It's crazy. He does not really seem that old to me. And then we have got a 7-year-old, about to be 8, retired racing greyhound who, if you have had any interaction with greyhounds in the past, they are very bizarre animals. I would not say that they're not a dog, but they are just kind of like their own thing. Like, when you think of a dog, like having a dog for a pet, a greyhound would not fit into that. I'll just let you know that. So anyways, our current dog situation is like honestly very low key, very low maintenance. They are both very, very lazy, do not enjoy being outside. Stark, my senior dachshund, likes to go like patter around the yard sometimes and sniff things, but that's maybe 10-15 minutes if he's really feeling like spunky that day. Vash does not want to be outside whatsoever. We tried to take them on a hike We have a college close to us that has like really great hiking spots, and we tried to take them on like a very low intensity hike not too long ago. Stark actually did pretty good. Bash hated every second of it after the first 5 minutes. He is just not, he's not an outdoor guy, you know, like he was raised at the track. He's used to being in a crate, which is a whole nother story. Like I don't necessarily agree with that, and I'm glad that that is no longer something that we're doing in the United States. They do still do it internationally, and the conditions and outcome for those dogs are often not nearly as good as they are in the United States. So, of course, like he's been a great dog, but he is just he's very bizarre. He doesn't like being outside. He's not like having your typical dog. He sleeps all the time. All he wants to do is sleep, which is totally fine. You know, he was a professional athlete, which is kind of funny, like thinking about that because he is such a dope. But yeah, so he's, you know, he's done his time. He is living the retired life, chilling and, you know, eating and sleeping and cuddling. And that is all he wants to do. He doesn't really want to do walks because like loud noises freak him out. He doesn't like being outdoors, and we've tried many different variants, and this, you know, he likes what he likes, so we just let him be, let him do his thing. If, you know, something changes in the future, we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. However, so we have two dogs that essentially like sleeping all day. They do not really want to play. They do not really want to go on walks, etc. So I would say it's not like having two dogs that require a lot of energy, a lot of maintenance, a lot of training, things like that. So our situation is like very low key. It was not really that crazy to add another dog into the mix. So I don't know. Okay, I don't know. I'll probably keep rambling on about this for a little while. I'll try to keep it concise. But essentially, you know, I saw online that animal control near us had a dog that was available, and he looked very, very, very scared and very, very sad in his photo. And I don't know what it was, because, you know, you see stories about, I wish I could rescue all of them. Like if I had infinite time and money and resources and energy, I would love to have every rescue dog in the entire world and just have 1 million acres of land where they could safely roam about. But that is just not logistically really possible. However, so I saw this, and I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was about him. I just saw him. I took one look. I was like immediately in love. I was like immediately, I need to go meet this dog. My husband is not as emotionally motivated as I am, as often is the case. So he was obviously looking at the logistics of this, the time, the energy, the money that is involved in adopting another animal. And he was firmly against it. He thought that it was unhinged for me to want another dog. But essentially I was like I was very invested in this. Like I was like, can we please go meet him? So he humored me. We went and met him. When we got to the shelter, they actually said that I feel like they were not going to allow him to be seen by the public, is what they were alluding to, because he was so scared. And often dogs that are in that type of environment, they're very, very scared. They have behavioral issues. So I feel like that's kind of why they were alluding to the fact that he may not be available to the public. However, he did come in with a brother who was also very cute, very, very sweet. I met the brother, and then they had, who you'll see in just a moment, in the office. He was a mess. He was shaking so violently he could barely walk. And they managed to coerce him out of the office under intense supervision and allowed him to come up to me. And he was very sweet. He like sidled up next to me. He like hopped up on my leg and he started giving me kisses on the cheek. And they said, oh, he has not been comfortable enough to do that to anyone. And I was like, you know, obviously that makes sense because these are very stressful circumstances and he's terrified. But anyway, so, you know, I was interacting with him for a little while and they felt comfortable for me to take him outside. So we went outside with him in their like little like meeting area, and we had brought Stark with us, and they kind of like sniffed around, and he was, you know, it was like, it's kind of hard to determine like initially when you have your dog meet a strange dog, like kind of what their reactions are. Cause I was very scared with him, the dog that we adopted, being very, very scared. that he may be reactive in some ways. And especially like I did not want to put my dogs, especially Stark, in a situation where I had to worry about his safety. So I was like scared to death doing this like meet and greet because obviously like I really wanted it to go well. So they brought him out and it went pretty good. Like he was, at first, he is 1 year old. So he is very like puppy. He's like very like play, a lot of energy. And initially we were like kind of like iffy because he was like very like, he was like pulling and very interested in things like that. But shortly thereafter, they both became very disinterested, and that's like a very good sign. So he was like not really interested in Stark. He was more interested in like what we were doing, what was going on around him. No signs of like aggression or anything like that. So that was like very, very positive. And initially they said that we had like several, it was like the weekend that he was going to become available for adoption at that point. If that was something that he was able to do. And, Kevin was like, okay, well, at least we have a little bit of time to talk about it. And I went inside and they were telling me, his brother already had somebody that was waiting for him. So, I was there for the other brother that we ended up adopting anyways. So I was like, yeah, we want to put our name down on the list. And they were like, yeah, you have to be here tomorrow. I was like, okay, so we have 24 hours to think about the logistics. And I have to like convince my husband to let me adopt this dog essentially. So yeah, we essentially talked about it all night. And he said that, if I feel like I have the capacity to care for another animal and that's something that I feel like I can do, then he's not going, essentially he was like, okay. And so of course now he loves him. Like it did not take very long for we named him Sully, our new dog, for Sully to win him over. And so it's very sweet. And it's very rewarding just having a dog that was like not in a good environment, kind of like learn to trust you and kind of like unwind and things. So it's been very enjoyable. A lot of work. He definitely seems like he is not used to being indoors. Everything about the house kind of like weirds him out. He's like very confused by things. He's very, I would not say he's very scared, at this point, but he's just very like, he doesn't understand the TV. Oh my God. He like lost his at the TV. He was like barking at it. He had never seen anything like that before in his life. He was like hiding behind us, trying to get away from it. Which he's like, he's chilled out a lot at this point. It's been a few weeks, but yeah. So it's just been a transition, and we think that he probably was outside for the majority of his life because he, especially at the beginning, he did not want to be indoors. He only wanted to be outside. So now he's getting more comfortable. He's spending more time indoors. He's starting to trust us more. He also like doesn't want to like lay on furniture. Like he doesn't want to be comfortable on the sofa or his bed or like anything like that. Like he wants to lay on the hard floor. So it's just like it's very sad, to think about a dog that's just like never experienced being indoors and being loved and stuff. And it just like, honestly, it just makes me cry every time I think about it. So anyway, so yeah, I went back the next day and picked him up. And honestly, he's been great. Like definitely an adjustment, just like going from two dogs that are very low energy, chill, to having a dog that is very young, higher energy, very curious. Like he's wanting to like bite on everything. So it's just like needs constant monitoring, things like that. So yeah, but it's overall, he's like very smart. He listens well. He's very, very sweet. And it's been going really, really well. Thank God. So however, having him for like a week, the shelter called me back and let me know that his brother had not been adopted. So the person that was waiting on him never showed up. This is animal control, so these are not no-kill shelters. So they only have a certain amount of time before they're able to find homes. And essentially, I had a mental breakdown over the fact, thinking about that his brother was potentially not going to be adopted. So I was like in correspondence with the shelter, and I reached out to some rescues in my area and was like, look, please go rescue this dog, because I will literally, this will haunt me for the rest of my life. Like every time I look at my dog, I'm gonna be like, okay, like I saved you, but your brother was not able to be saved because I don't have the capacity for more animals. So yeah, so essentially, and my husband was like, we talked about it, and he was like, yeah, we could like maybe foster him for a little while until he finds a home, which would not be ideal because I really didn't want to like reintroduce him to his brother and then take his brother away again. If, like obviously it's like very, very hard to find a home that would take two young dogs. So yeah, and of course, like we're already totally in love with Sully, and we don't have the capacity to have another dog, and he's like very comfortable in our home at this point. So we were like, we could foster him for a little while and maybe find him another home, but that was just going to be like a very, very intense situation to be in. And fortunately he got rescued. So I was like, I literally just like broke down into tears when I got the email saying that he had been rescued and that he was going to be okay. So I'm just like so incredibly grateful that everything worked out, and I can like rest with the fact that his brother is safe now and is going to be rescued and find a home. So thank God for that. And the other part of this whole equation is the fact that if you have ever adopted an animal from animal control, or adopted a dog from animal control, or mini shelter type situations, you are probably familiar with kennel cough, which is a broad range of bacterial, viral, blah, 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 that they come in contact when they're in the kennels, and it can be like make them cough a lot, gag, be very snotty, things like that, get very ill. So of course, Sully had a very bad case of kennel cough. He still is very snotty, but he is feeling much better. So disclaimer, if when I introduce him here in a moment, if he's snotty, like that is just what we're living with right now. My entire house is covered in snot, which may be TMI, but just being real here, this is what I've been dealing with. So he, of course, got my other two dogs, Stark, and who's the Dachshund mix, the senior, and Vash, our rescue greyhound, both very, very ill. Stark I was losing it over him because he cannot breathe through his nose at all. We got both Sully and Stark on antibiotics. We've been working very closely with our vet to make sure that, they are okay and they have what they need. And they have improved very much with the antibiotics, but oh my gosh, Stark still is having issues breathing through his nose, but he was just like so pathetic for several days. And of course, I'm like very worried about him because he's older and things, when you have an older pet, things impact them more significantly. So just like very stressful situation. Vash just has not been feeling super well. He's a little snotty too, but he's been breathing normally. So I think like maybe because he's bigger, he's not been dealing with it as intensely as the other two have. But hopefully within the next week or so, everyone will be back to feeling much better and I can deep clean the house. All right, guys, forgive me for the lighting situation. I'm being very lazy today because I don't feel like pulling out my light boxes to move things around. And this is like a bigger area where I can unveil our new family member to you. So this is Sully. Sully, come here. Oh, he's a very sweet baby. They approximate him as 1 year old. He is a corgi. They said corgi hound. If you can see these like very nice chonkers we have here. Very beautiful. But we don't know. He could be like corgi, pit bull, maybe some kind of corgi hound. Let me bring y'all down a little bit more here. Just ignore me. Yeah, you can hear him. He is still coughing a little bit, but he is, come here, Sully. He is a very, very, very handsome, very sweet boy. He is corgi in the body. So he is, I'll have to insert some footage or something, but you can see how he is very long with very short, chunky legs. And then he has this big old hound head, and you can see we have got snot. This has been my full-time job for the past week, is just snot cleaner. But yeah, so he's been doing really well. You'll probably see him in my future videos. Trying to show him. He's very sleepy. He was just asleep on the sofa and he woke up to me moving around. Sully. Sully. Come here. Come here. Okay, I'm trying to get him. I don't know if y'all can hear me. This is probably not the best mic situation. But yeah, we've had him for going on 3 weeks now, and he has been doing so good. When we first got him, he had like very, very high energy, like I was mentioning. But then he got very sick. So then he like definitely lost a lot of momentum. He's also, I imagine, catching up on a lot of sleep from being in many stressful environments. They were brought in as strays, both him and his brother. So there's no telling like, what his situation was with his previous owner. And then he was kind of like living as a stray, and then he was in animal control. So he is just taking some time to catch up on sleep and to relax a little bit and unwind. And I think he's like, he's starting to show more of his personality. He is just like so goofy and sweet and sassy when he feels very comfortable. And it's been just so incredibly rewarding to see him kind of like unwind and start to trust us and start to trust the house and stuff, and the fact that he's safe, and just get more comfortable. So yeah, obviously I had to introduce him to you guys and let y'all know what has been going on and let you see the culprit of my absence. Yeah, thank you. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch to my phone really quickly to do kind of like a quick walkthrough to show y'all my setup at this point, because you know how it is having a bunch of plants. You're like constantly removing things around, resetting things up, you know, repotting things if they're not doing well, moving things closer to the light, further away from the light, closer to the humidifier, farther away from the humidifier. And it's just like a constant puzzle that you're trying to figure out to provide all of your plants with what they need. So I feel pretty comfortable with how I have things set up at present. I feel like things are doing pretty well in their spots, and that I figured most things out at this point. So yeah, so I'm feeling pretty good. So I'll show y'all just kind of like the general setup of how I have everything. And then I will grab some plants and we will check out some of like the more interesting things that are happening right now. And here is Soleil forward facing. You see what a cute, very handsome boy. Oh goodness, you know, he's coughing still. And he's got this very cute little curly cinnamon bun tail. And very cute little stumpy legs. I just have a thing for dogs that have like very short stumpy legs. Also totally disregard the house. Like I said, it's a mess right now. We are adjusting to having this guy. And the whole house is covered in snot. So that is just, it is what it is right now. So anyways, quick overview. So I have got, I'm not going to go over every single plant, but this is my giant philodendron Weeks Red. I had this upstairs for a really long time, and I really love this plant, but I had nowhere to put it. And it's doing pretty well up here. I have I think it's like a 40-watt CNC light up there. I have got a couple more Anthurium, a Maranta, a mixed pot of Pothos, Marble Queen, and Manula, whatever. I know the light is probably not going to be the best right now just because it is like really cloudy and rainy. Like it's going to start raining soon here today. But again, this is just like a very general overview so you can see what my setup currently is. And then, you know, in the future when we do a full plant walkthrough, I'll make sure the lighting is better when we're actually looking at the plants. So this is going to be my Hoya shelf over here. I do have a video where I set this up, which I will link in the description. So we have a couple of shelves of my larger Hoya that require trellises. This is a tray of a few of my newer baby Hoya that I'm just kind of keeping an eye on that have not really started growing much yet. And then I have two of the IKEA Acrobar cabinets here on the bottom, which I kind of had to like finagle to fit in there, but they're working for now. And then we have got hanging plants. I've long since foregone the curtains just because they were getting in the way of all the plants. So you got to make adjustments, you know. So we have got, oh yeah, and I guess I could talk about the lights a little bit. So I've got Barina T5s on the top of there, Barina T5s on that one. These two are just like some of my first grow lights that I ever purchased. Very cheap ones off Amazon. Would not recommend those. I'll link the Barinas and the Sansi lights, which are other ones that I use. And then this is a new light. This was by Glorium. They actually gifted me this light, and I love this light. This is definitely one of my favorite grow lights. First of all, it looks super cool, right? Like this is, I got the white one just because I wanted to be a little bit different because I have like all my other grow lights are black. So I just wanted to test the white one out. But the heads are super cool. They're adjustable. You can In this model, I don't think, which I haven't really tried. Yeah, no, I don't think you can. In this model, you can't do different light settings on either head, but they do have one that I believe you can do that with. I love the stand. So first of all, I love how tall it is, because for some reason it is like impossible to find decent tall grow lights. Really well made. So all of this is metal. It has the adjustable heads that are similar to the Sansi. They are a little bit more matte. So they may have maybe a matte coating or something on there. These are adjustable, of course, you can move those around. It has your typical dial settings. So it has got 3 hour, 9 hour, or 12 hours if we do it on a timer. I also like that it is like a soft fade on or off. So it doesn't just immediately pop on or off. It's a soft fade. And then it has this really awesome, if you can see right here, a metal base that you can set a plant on. But it's pretty heavy. So you could essentially set a plant on that base and then just have this hanging over the plant. I just have it set up over here because I needed something for my big Regal shields. Because I originally had it over here before I had the Sansi grow light here, and it was just not getting enough light. Also, it takes up a lot of space right there. So I moved it over here because it's closer to this window, which I always forget, either east or west, because that is a south facing over there. So yeah, so I had moved it over here to get more light from this. And then I still felt like it wasn't quite enough, especially if I wanted the leaves to get a little bit bigger. So I stuck this guy over here. So thank you so much, Glorium, for sending me this light. I love this light. One of my all-time favorite grow lights. They also have aquarium lights and just some aesthetic lights. So I will link this in the description if anyone's interested. So I'll link this. I'll link the Sansi lights, which I also love, and the Barina lights, which are these strip lights that I have over here. Everyone and their mom uses these in the Sansi, but I had never heard anyone talking about Glorium before until recently, and love them. 10 out of 10. One of my favorite grow lights. And then, back to the typical setup. So I've got some Hoya here. This is a new plant. So this is I don't think you'll be able to see it super well because of the lighting. But this is a Jacinia pothos that I found at Home Depot that I have been on the lookout for. So I was super excited about that. I have got lipstick plant, Hoya, dogtail cactus. And then I have got this setup over here. So these are my bird's nest anthurium. These are all variegated. And then I've just got a few plants over here in the floor. I've got my philodendron splendid over here, which is I'm very much downsizing moss poles. This is one of the few plants that I do still have on a moss pole because I do want to see that size up. And then of course I have my big Alocasia Regal shields that I was just mentioning over here. I recently repot that because I've had this thing for years, and honestly, it's always been doing well. But I was like, you know what? It had some more pups and stuff in here, and then I had another pot of Regal shields, and I was like, I just have too many of these. It's a very large plant. I don't need as many as I have, and I don't really want duplicates of this one again. So I was like, okay, I'll just repot it. And oh my God, whatever soil that I used in that was absolute trash. It was literally super thick, dense mud in there. So of course I got rid of all of it, repot it in a much better mix, which is just my typical, I think this one's soil, a little bit of sphagnum, orchid bark, chunky perlite, probably has some tree fern fiber in there that was not I didn't directly place it in here. It's just leftovers from other stuff. So much better than chunky, terrible, dense mud. So she is understandably much happier now. You hear everyone talk about this Alocasia, about how easy it is, because it really, really is. If you want a big, nice, dark looking, velvety statement Alocasia, this one is 1,000 times easier than any of the other Alocasia. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, so I have this area set up. So I've got we said Hoya cabinet, giant philodendron, just hanging plants, my big Regal shields. And then this is just a dining table that we never use because we always eat at the island. Yeah, and this is another recent plant. I actually found this when we were at Kroger the other day grocery shopping. This is a philodendron Campii Lynette, and I have been looking everywhere for this thing. I've seen a bunch of people finding them at Walmart and stuff. And let me tell you, I was on the hunt. Not that I'm not trying to buy too many plants right now because does she need more plants? No, she does not. However, I am just in love with this. I love the leaves. I love the texture. I love the growth pattern. So I was very jealous when people were finding them at Walmart because I was very much stalking Walmart to try to find this one. Could not find it anywhere. Checked both of our Walmart locations. They actually had a pretty good selection. I actually recently did a shopping video at Walmart, Home Depot, and Lowe's, I believe, which I'll also link in the description. But yeah, Kroger. So if you have local Kroger grocery store in your area, you haven't checked them recently, highly recommend going and checking them out because I could not believe that I found this because these are even hard to like order online for whatever reason. Like I can only find them if I wanted to import. And I just, I was like, people are finding these like out in the wild. Like I'm just going to wait and see if I could find one. And I did. And it was $20 at Kroger for that beautiful plant. Again, look at these leaves, gorge. And it also came in this pot, which I relocated, but it's like a really, really soft peachy color. How cute is that? $20 for that pot and that gorgeous plant. So anyways, and then we have got my alocasia over here. Almost all of these are in no drainage. So I'm still kind of like experimenting with that. This is one that did not do well in no drainage. That is my variegated dragon scale. Its corm still felt really, really well. So I just downsized it to a smaller pot, cleaned off all the mushy roots, and we're going to see if she'll regrow. And then we have got other table plants. So just some of my larger anthurium that won't really fit anywhere else. This is a recent change here. So I've put a couple of my other plants that I do still have on moss poles over here. So I've got some kind of epipremnum, whichever one has the more angular leaves. It's some kind of like variegated version of something or other on here. And it looks really good. It's actually starting to finish right, which I'm surprised. Like leaves are getting pretty large, but the variegation is just like so pretty. It's like kind of this subtle minty type variegation. And yeah, she's looking really good. I'm gonna have to put another pole on that one before too long, which is not the best because I hate moss poles with a fiery passion. But sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. This is my philodendron serpens, which is doing okay. Little beat up, a little crispy, yellowing a little bit. Don't really know what that's about. I recently changed up my fertilization routine, which I'll talk about in another video. But maybe that may be helping by giving them a better fertilizer. We have got my philodendron white knight over here, which is my favorite of the like white princess, white knight, red Anderson, blah, blah, blah. It gave me this really, really pretty leaf at the top, but it's so small. And it was kind of growing off the moss bowl, so I had to like refasten it. But yeah, I don't know what the dealio is with that one. Maybe it'll get itself together. Who knows? And then yeah, just some more anthurium. I've got my, I should step back from this. I've got my giant bird of paradise over here, which just put out this enormous leaf. If you can see the scaling for that, I can't really give you a super good view, but she is enormous. I have it on this table so that it doesn't slap me in the face every time I walk by. And then I have just got, some more anthurium. I've got a syndapsis that I moved off of a moss pole because for some reason it just didn't seem to like it. So my plan is I'm just going to kind of let it grow up. Maybe one of these stems, I don't know. And then we've just got some of the plants that I like the best right now over here in my little cute pot table. I don't think there's anything new that I've added over here. Pretty much same old, same old. Like I said, this is not a full walkthrough. This is just a little sneaky peeky. Let's see what's going on. My Dieffenbachia Big Ben, which has finally started growing again. It's been upset with me for a while. Yeah, and this is another recent plant that I found at Lowe's. I think this was $13. The alocasia is okay, but that's not the reason I got it. I got it because this is the, can you see this? Can we see this? How cute is that pot? It's like anti-glazed. Like the pattern is like bare ceramic and then the glaze is like around it. I don't know. It's so cute. Yeah, so I saw that pot. I was like, man, I need that. It's $13 and you get the alocasia, which is doing okay, like. Anyways, and then I've got some other plants under here. Aglaonema, gloriosum, spathiphyllum. A couple more moss poles over here. My pink princess, which has been actually doing pretty good. Her coloring's really beautiful. I've got my big old Monstera. What is that? I can't think of the name. I'll put it on the screen if I can think of it. My Thai constellation, which I had to repot because it was just super root bound and it was not happy whatsoever. Lost a couple of leaves at the bottom after being repot, but I think she'll like it much better in there once she gets adjusted. And then I've got my staghorn fern area over here still. A couple of hanging Hoyas. These are some of my like Caudex plants. A couple Hoyas. Things that I'm just keeping an eye on that I think may need more light, more of an experiment there. And then this is the other side of the dining room, so that's where we started off. There's the Hoya cabinet over there, dining table. In this corner, we have just got some anthurium. Got my painted lady, which I'm not going to talk about today in detail, but how pretty is that leaf? Like, I think that is so pretty. It's like has like a reverted little ear here, but it looks so good with the variegation. And then I've got my chia plants, which I recently unmoss poled. So I have a bunch of cuttings of those that I'll probably regrow. This is a new begonia. That is begonia Sinbad, which is a very popular begonia. Really beautiful. I just repot it. So we're going to see how it likes it. I put it over here because it gets a little bit more light, and I think it did want a little bit more light, so we'll see. And then this is kind of like my start of my anthurium area, which is over here near the humidifiers. I have got a couple of hanging plants, so Maranta silverband, my pallidiflorum, my giant Syndapsis jade, which honestly, it's at the top of the pole, and I mean, I physically cannot extend that pole anymore unless I moved it, and I have no intention of doing that. I barely keep it watered as it is. So yeah, I'm just going to let her grow off of that and see what happens. And then I've got, you know, just a few miscellaneous plants up here. I'll talk about a couple of those in a bit. And then this is the anthurium area. So Viderfolium, just a couple of, this is supposed to be a variegated crystallinum that I got a million years ago for a really good price. She's not really been growing, and her variegation was kind of strong when the leaf came out, but it did fade afterwards, which is fine. But yeah, she looks like she's about to put on a new leaf, so I guess we'll see. Variegated papilolaminum, which seems to be doing okay. This is a more recent acquisition, and this was definitely an experiment. I can't even remember. Oh, I've got a tag. What is this? This is Anthurium Bernalii. I don't know. Can you see that? Yeah, and it came with 3 leaves, and the thing is, like, I know that typically the anthurium that look like this with this texture wants super high humidity. However, the seller said that she was keeping hers in 70% humidity and not 100%. So I was thinking, like, I was very much expecting when I got it for the leaves to die off, which they did. But this last one is still partially hanging on, which is surprising to me. The base, so like the chonk, still feels very good. It was a little bit soft when I first got it, which was a little disheartening. But yeah, I think it may be okay with like the new leaves that come out in this environment, especially I've got it like right here next to the humidifier. So we'll see. That'll be a future update there. I've got my little pot of jewel orchids. One is trying to croak, which I have separated in a cup situation. Those are doing okay. I had to move them back over here near the humidifier because I think they prefer it over there. And then I've converted this down here to like my little begonia area. Not going to go through every single one of those for sure today, but yeah, I like it. It's looking really cute. And then more anthurium. This is my favorite anthurium. This is a Ace of Spades crossed with a blue papilolaminum, I think. Yep. Yeah, so she is super easygoing. One of the easier anthurium that I've had. Some more begonia. That is I can't remember. Anthurium. These are miscellaneous plants up in my little window shelf. We have got, these are all anthurium. Got my seedlings here on the bottom. These are kind of like rehab plants that I've got in humidity domes that I'm keeping an eye on, etc. This is just kind of like an area for some of my miscellaneous plants. Some more anthurium. And then up top, I've got, again, miscellaneous plants. Some begonia, alocasia. Sorry, the humidifier is kind of taking center stage. Oh, yeah, and then this is like the back part. So Monstera, Aurea, Seriana, Philodendron domesticum. Some more philodendron here. Got my majestic on the end. And my Rhaphidophora something variegated on this end. And then just a little quick peek over here. So originally I had just my Florida green philodendron here, but it randomly like fell over and snapped. So I potted it up with my philodendron arabescens red emerald. I don't know. It's the one with the reddish stems. You can't really see it on this part, but you can kind of see it's kind of like that reddish color. This is the standard version of the philodendron that I believe like the Pink Princess, White Knight, all those come from. So yeah, so we've got her growing here. She's actually doing okay, even though it gets very low light here. So this is not something that I'm really interested in getting like really big leaves on or growing super fast. It's more here just for aesthetic purposes, and it's been doing okay. I mean, the leaves are obviously like not huge or anything, but she is growing still pretty well. The plan is to just kind of let it grow up, and over that area I think would look pretty good. And then we have got my little homolamina green emerald something or other right there. That's for aesthetic purposes. We have got this area over here. We've got Mr. Sully, who is chewing on his toy. Oh, he's so cute. Are you a good boy? Oh, goodness. Oh, that's lovely. Anyways, and then we have got my schismatoglottis, xanthosoma, another peace lily, variegated peace lily. This is a south-facing window, so they do pretty good over here. I got a couple of plants in little pots up there. And then we have got my last area for the living room, dining room, kitchen, whatever. So a couple of jungle cactus up here. My orchids are still in this window, and they seem to enjoy it. So that's pretty much the dealio right now. It's Vash joining us. He's still not feeling very well. Poor boys. And then Stark is knocked out over there, if you can see him next to the humidifier that I've been running. All right, guys, we are chilling in my normal place in front of my doors outside. It is thunderstorming right now, so if you hear thunder in the background, just disregard. I had to cut myself off because I keep when I'm actively, because I've not even had time to really go through my collection and check out things and see what's been going on that much, honestly, because I've been so busy with this dog. And when I start looking at things, I'm like, oh my God, this is pretty cool. So I had to cut myself off because otherwise I would just keep going on forever, I think, and pull out 97 plants, which I don't have time for. I don't have the time or energy for that today. So we're going to run through these really quickly. I don't know how many I've pulled out, too many, definitely. But we're not going to spend all day. I'm just going to talk a little bit about each one. So first one, I actually have several Hoya that I want to talk about. Should I do all this first? Yeah. Okay. I'll do all the Hoya first. So the first one is going to be my Hoya Caudata Sumatra. This one was previously hanging right next to me in my south-facing, I say window. It's the panels for the French door. So that type of window. And I had it hanging there for a really long time, but it kept trying to grow up the, what's it called? Why can I not think of it? Macrame, the macrame hangers. So I was it seems like it really wants to be trellised. So I stuck it on this trellis. All I did is take two of my, what is this? Oh my gosh, my brain is not working today. The bonsai wires. I make these trellises out of just bonsai wire that I bend and cut. And I just have a dual trellis going on here. So I trellised it, stuck it back over on my shelf closer to my humidifier. It has gone cray-cray. Look at all these blooms. Look at all these blooms. I don't know if you can see, but there's one here. There's one here. There's one here, which I think is on its way out because those were previously, oh, yep, there they go. It had, oh, that's a shame. None of them are open. What a bummer. And I didn't take a photo because I was I'm going to show them on this video and I'll have it forever. And I was too late. So when they open, I'll tell you what, when they open, if I remember, then I will post a photo on my Instagram, which is just @leaveswithless if you're interested in following me over there. I am not very active, I'm not going to lie. I'm just not much into social media. Occasionally I do go on Instagram and post just stuff that's been going on or a reel or something if I'm feeling really frisky. But most of the time you're probably not going to see anything from me, but sometimes you will. And then it'll be a fun surprise when something pops up like these Hoya blooms, right? So if I remember, I will, sorry, I thought Sully was reverse sneezing. He's been doing that so much and it freaks me out. But yeah, so if I remember to do that, which I will try to do, I will post a photo over there. But yeah, I moved it further away. So it's not even in a window now. It's just getting the light from the Sansi bulbs, which I have up above it, which granted, those are very strong. I think they're 50 watt. But I think it's the humidity. It really likes the humidity, and it's been putting out really, really nice leaves. And I mean, this one has never bloomed for me, never even giving an inclination of wanting to bloom for me. And it has got so many new shoots coming out everywhere. So like this is a new shoot right here. And I don't know if you can see, but it's got like all these new little growths popping out at the bottom. And the leaves just look so much better, so much firmer. So I actually think it likes not having like that ultra intense light right up against it, like in a south facing window. And it definitely likes being trellised because, man, the blooms speak for themselves. I cannot believe that this has got so many blooms, and it's got a couple of other like little peduncles that are sticking around too. So we'll probably even have more blooms before too long. But yeah, she's looking gorge. Really like nice leaves, really nice variegation going on. So yeah, I love her. She's doing so well. Okay, next one. This is Hoya Lai Prism, which I have not had for a super long time. I bought this from a seller on Etsy, and she actually sent me the wrong one. And the one that she sent me, I took one look. I was like, that is not the right one, because this is the correct one that I bought. Like, I would definitely remember that variegation because it is so good. I was like, I bet that's going to have good genetics. And it does. That was a good call on my part. Look at how good she looks. I really like this, like, really, like, speckly, segmented type. I don't know. You know what I mean. Type variegation. Are you not focusing? I'm not going to remember what I'm doing for a little while. Y'all just bear with me. But yeah, so all of her new growth that's coming out has got this, like, really, really good variegation on it. So I've been very blessed with that one. And she's actually growing pretty well. She's put out, like, 3 new leaves for me. And she has that new one coming in right here. Hopefully this lighting is okay, y'all. Like I said, it's very cloudy today, so it's hard to kind of judge. But yeah, and she's so pink when it comes out and sun stresses. I don't know if you can tell because the lighting's a little bit warm right now. But yeah, so she is super cute. Love her. Gorgeous variegation. We have got another cool one. So this one actually kind of reminds me of the Hoya Ficii. I know for sure that I got this from Hoya Ho on Etsy, which I buy from her all the time. She has got the most amazing selection of Hoyas. I've never had any issues with any orders. I think one time one cutting came to me in bad shape and she just immediately replaced it. So she is very trusted in my books. But this is the Hoya Cutis Porceliana Nominate form. I'll put it on the screen because I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly. But yeah, it's very Ficii-esque. But the veination is just so nice. Hold on, let me adjust this lighting. I feel like it is not bright enough. Okay, hopefully that lighting's a little bit better, but hopefully you can see the veination on here. It is so delicate. So delicate and so, the veination takes up the entire portion of the leaf. Let's see if I can get this thing to focus. It's kind of hard to see because the veins are very, very delicate. And it has grown so, so quickly. Oh, I need to cover my face, don't I? For the focus to work. But yeah, she has been such an easy grower. So beautiful. Kind of on the thin-leafed side. You see the veination a little bit more hot now. But yeah, really beautiful. I love her. And her leaves have actually been getting a little bit larger. But yes, it's just like really beautiful plain green Hoya with those really delicate, beautiful veins. Alrighty, next one. So these were actually purchased as 2 separate Hoya. One was an Incrusata Albo and one was an Incrusata Eclipse, which they have just so many similarities between the two. I don't even know that they're 2 different variants rather than just like the variegation pattern is a little bit different on the 2 specimens that I had. However, the reason that I want to talk about it is it gave me this absolutely gorgeous leaf that is very much giving Hoya Madara. Is it not? The Carnosa Madara, that is literally one of my all-time favorite dream Hoyas because I love that type of variegation that was really speckly. And I just really appreciate her for coming through. She was like, I know you don't want to spend $500 on a cutting, so I got you. You don't need a Carnosa Madara. You have me. And she just showed right on out. This is actually way prettier than the Madara in my personal opinion because the leaves are so rigid and kind of like pillowy and bubbly. But yeah, I love her. The rest of her is really beautiful too. Like this is the Albo portion that I had originally purchased, and then the Incrusata Eclipse has those more like mottled marginal variegation. This is a Hoya that has very, very, very rigid leaves. Like it's almost like they would just snap in half if you try to bend them. But it's been pretty easy. Really has like a really, really nice variance and variegation. So we have like the portions that are solid green in the middle with like that kind of like pixelated Madara-esque variegation around the edges. You have the Albo type, which comes in straight white. We have this, which is more of like a subtle type variegation. It's like a green on green. We have this, which is like totally that lighter green with a little bit of variegation there at the tip. So this is just a really beautiful plant. Lots of variety in one species. So yeah, and this was, I had purchased the Albo and the Incrusata separately, and then I had gotten a cutting as a free gift from another order that I placed with another seller, I think. And I just potted them all up together and they look really great. Okay, and then last Hoya we're gonna be talking about, this is my Hoya Ake Bogar. I got this from Steve's Leaves a million years ago, and it took me a long time to figure out what it wanted. I had to repot it a couple of times, move it around a little bit. And when I got it set up with the, oh, its leaves kind of smushed right here, with the Barinas over there, repotted it, gave it some better soil, it's finally started growing again, and it is so pretty. This is such a nice, like, I like any of the Ake Hoyas, which hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's in, from what I was told, an area in Indonesia, I believe. And the Hoya that come out of there are just absolutely stunning. They're all that kind of like funky, crusty type look to them. Really gorgeous. Got an interesting back on it too with that dark red vein. But yeah, so I got it, and the leaves originally looked like this. So again, they're like, these were all the leaves that came with, kind of like crusty, funky looking leaves, which is very much my vibe. I'm into that. And then the new leaves that have been putting out are up here. These probably all came out within the last probably 3 weeks. So they have just been growing like crazy. Again, I think it may have something to do with like my updated fertilizer routine, because I just don't think I was doing what I should have been doing before. But yeah, look how cool that leaf looks. It's just so funky. And quite splashy too. Especially this new growth is coming in, like some of those leaves are pretty splashy and nice. Ooh, Lord. Okay, that scared me a little. Anyways, as I was saying, very splashy leaves, cool growth coming out. Very glad to see her doing something again, finally. And then I've got a couple of miscellaneous plants. So this is the one, this is a Stephania Nova. This is one that I had talked about previously when its little leaf that was coming out was so tiny and cute. And it has finally gotten bigger. This is such a fun plant. So it's a Caudex plant. You can see it's like little lumpy Caudex down here. And it put out one little tiny leaf, which has been growing forever. I see a couple of other little like dots of green growth where maybe it'll put out another one in the future. But it's almost like an anthurium where they come out very small and they just continue to expand for a really long time. But these leaves are absolutely stunning. The venation is actually very pink. It's very like a rosy pink. And then the color of the leaves is kind of like a gray blue-green. Venation, gorgeous. This has been, I think this is one of my all-time favorite plants at this point, just because the leaves are just absolutely phenomenal. And I just think it's so interesting how it has like the Caudex and it puts out this one little leaf. I mean, they have the potential to put out more leaves, but I've not had this one for too entirely long. So I think it may take like a little while for it to establish before it starts to put out more leaves. But even at this point, just with this singular leaf, it's just so beautiful. It's so beautiful and so unlike anything else that I have in my collection. It's very like leathery. It's like a matte leather. Gorgeous. Cannot wait to see if it'll put out some more leaves for me, hopefully. And then I have this one. So this is one that I had gotten from the Green Escape not too long ago. I had repurchased a couple of plants that I had unalived that I wanted to retry, which I think I just unalived them again. I can't remember exactly which plants I got. Oh, well, actually one of them that came in that order I'm going to talk about here in a second. But this is the Michael Moliera Vietnamensis, and this is a relative of the African violet. From what I understand, this is the only species in its genus. So this is the only one of these, and it has really beautiful kind of like blue violet flowers, I believe, from what I remember. It is not blooming at present, although it does look like it does have a couple of buds where it's wanting to put them out. But this plant is gorgeous. Like, this is such a beautiful plant. I've never seen this mentioned before in any of the social media that I've consumed. And this was just kind of like a random add-on that I stuck onto my order when I was placing that order through Green Escape because I thought it looked really interesting. Their photo made the variegation look kind of blue, but it's in reality, it's more silver. It does pick up some of that like greeny blue from the leaves behind it. But the leaves are very thick. So it has very thick, leathery leaves, but they are very furry too. So it's covered in a layer of this just like very, very fuzzy, textured, thick, leathery leaves. So it's very interesting. And then very dark. So very, very dark hunter green with that very silvery, reflective, almost blue-green type variegation. She has been growing like crazy for me. I have her sitting behind or right in front of a humidifier. So she's getting a lot of humidity, decent light from I believe it's east-facing window. And she is just happy as can be. I'm hoping to see some blooms on this one. This will definitely be one that I need to post on Instagram when it blooms because they are so, so cute. But yeah, I just think it's so incredibly beautiful. Again, very different from anything that I have in my collection. The texture of the leaves, the hairiness of them, the flowers, things like that. So yeah, I'm really glad that I picked this one up. Right, I had to step away for a moment because Sully heard the rain outside the front door and he was barking because he thought somebody was trying to get in. But yeah, so we will talk about a couple of Anthurium next really quickly. So this is a cool one. So I bought this as an Anthurium Black Beauty from, it came from Barry Schwartz, which is a prominent name in the Anthurium community. And I just thought this one was really interesting. It's more of like a leathery texture rather than like the true like velvety that we normally see in Anthurium. And it's just really beautiful. So very, very dark. It has kind of like that bluish hue to the green, but yeah, very, very dark, very leathery, kind of thicker leaves, which I think is really beautiful. And then this is its new leaf that it just put out. This one's been pretty easy going, so it's been growing pretty steadily, hasn't been really fussy. So I highly recommend this one if you do see it somewhere. Just again, something that I don't see really frequently, haven't really seen anyone talk about it or anything. It just popped up randomly when I was on Etsy and I thought it was really beautiful. It does have kind of like some silvery sparkle just a little bit in the venation, but I'm so eager to see how this is going to look like, how it'll size up and what it'll look like when it sizes up. That new leaf has come out just totally perfect, kind of like a plum tone to the emergence, which is really pretty. But yeah, just very, very infatuated with this really dark, leathery, beautiful leaf. And then on that same note, my Anthurium barong that I had imported from Cartel Dawn, how long have I had this? I can't remember. I will link the import unboxing video in the comments if you're interested in seeing that. But it has been doing much better. So it originally came with, this was one that I thought was really cool because, I mean, the leaf, it looks very different, like the leaf shape is very different, but also the texture is kind of crazy. Like it's very, very thick. I almost feel like it must have like some clear nervium or something in it because it has that same like very thick leathery texture to it. But it had put out, these were its original leaves. So you can see it kind of has a tendency to have a wide sinus, kind of interesting leaf shape here. That was another one of the older ones. So just kind of funky shape. And then it put out this leaf, which looks a million times better. Very, very dark, kind of reminiscent to the one that I just previously showed you, the Black Beauty, where it's got that like very dark, leathery, funky type of texture. Love 10 out of 10. Veins are awesome, very minimal veins with that really funky leathery texture. And then this is going to be its newest leaf that it came out, so it kind of comes out with that like oil slicky emergent, but she is doing so much better. I guess this is kind of like a mini update on this one. Yeah, but that leaf a million times better than what it had before. I just recently repotted it from sphagnum moss to my Anthurium mix, which is just tree fern fiber, orchid bark, sphagnum moss, worm castings, and chunky perlite. So very, very chunky. I have a tendency to be an overwaterer with my Anthurium, especially because they get a lot of humidity where they're at because I have the humidifiers running pretty much every single day. So I feel like, especially this time of year when it's like we don't have the heat running indoors, so things are staying moist for a lot longer. I just feel like the really chunky mix works better for me. But yeah, so super psyched to see her doing better and cannot wait to see what that emergent hardens off to. That'll be an exciting update. Just a couple more, y'all, because I'm getting tired. So next, this will just be an update on the Alocasia Princeps purple cloak that I had also gotten from the Green Escape order that I got this in. And this was the leaf that had put out immediately upon me receiving it. So it went from very juvenile leaf form to this really good looking leaf. So this is like very Princep type shape. So it has like really tall lobes, very angular, really cool venation. The venation on the back is really prominent too with that very dark, very thick leaf. I guess that's what I'm attracted to right now, is this like really thick leathery leaf. But it has rooted really, really well into the known drainage, which is a relief because these little starter plugs that you get sometimes don't always do the best. Like I've had many that have just totally melted on me. And its newest leaf that it put out had a very fun surprise. So it does look a little bit smaller. I may actually need to upsize this before too long, but it has sport variegation. Isn't that cool? Like right here on its lobe, it has this like spot of sport variegation. So I would love it. It's right here in the corner. I would love it if that would continue. That would be so fun to have this like really dark, angular. The leaf shape is continuing to improve. It has that more like ruffly look, which is what I really like. Still the dark venation. Sorry, all my face keeps pulling the focus. But yeah, just really fun surprise with that little sport variegation in the corner. I don't know if you can see it super well because it's not white. It's kind of like just a muted green color. You see that in the corner? Oh, Sully broke into the frame to join us. He's gonna try to eat all of my plants. Yeah, I know you are. You're bad. So yeah, anyways, hopefully it'll continue to size up in the coming leaves. Love the ruffliness. Wish it would not go down in size, but just the fact that it is still with us and it's doing pretty well is a blessing. So onward and upward. Okay, and then we're going to close out with a couple of begonia because I am back in my begonia stride again. I've got them, I think, in a good situation with very close proximity to my humidifier, adequate amount of light, but not overdoing it on the light. So they've been doing pretty well. We'll see. I've not been going crazy. I've added a few new ones to the collection, but nothing too crazy. This is the first one that I just immediately bought when I saw it. It's the Begonia Steve's Leaves Blizzard Bloom. And this was only $15 through their website. One of its leaves, beginner leaves, died off. But this one looks freaking crazy to me. Like it's very dark. It's like almost black. I really like this growth pattern where it's like almost rhizome-y, but it has longer petioles, so it doesn't cluster as severely as some of the other ones, which I really, really prefer. But it's really cool. So it's like a black leaf, but it has like almost like a silver. So it's like matte black with like a silver interior, like a silver black interior with hot pink spots. But the hot pink is kind of muted because it's on that like all black. I don't know how well you'll see it on here. But it just looks so crazy in person. And these leaves can get super duper big. So I just cannot wait. I'm really hoping that I'm going to be able to keep this alive. I've not repotted it yet because I've been terrified. But I'm hoping that I'll be able to keep this alive long enough to get those really big leaves. Doesn't that look awesome? And then of course it has like the typical begonia red backs. Although it's more of like a plum, like a plummy blood red. But yeah, let me get out of the frame so I cannot. I really want you to see this one. Isn't she beautiful? She's grown quite a lot. She has not put out, like, her leaves are not really sizing up very much yet, but I've not had her for super long, maybe like 3 months or something. But she's still hanging in there and she's still alive. Okay, and the last one. So this is a cane begonia. This I got through the Green Escape also. It was sold as a begonia dark warlock. And this is one that I really, really love the leaf shape of. So it's very, very angular. Almost reminds me of like the begonia listata, if I'm remembering that correctly, where it has these like very sharp leaves. So you have like the singular point at the top and it goes down very angular to the bottom. To me, this is much more severe like the pointiness is much more prominent than a lot of the other cane begonia that I've come across. Very, very dark, kind of that same blood ready maroon back. But I really liked the, like this, would you call it the sinus? Like the central, ooh, where's my finger? There it is. The central point, which is like this really, really dark blood red. So it's like the same maroon blood red as the back. And the leaves get pretty much black. The older leaves are totally black. The new ones that are coming in come in kind of this, almost like a little bit of an orangey green, and then fade to light green, and then this really dark color. But she is absolutely stunning. I cannot wait to see this as like a taller, when she starts following that more like cane begonia type form. Just the shape and the darkness, and I like also that some of the leaves get this, like that silver tip to them. So the tip of the leaf is like totally silver down there. It's just so beautiful. Greenscape has been having some really good begonias recently, and they have really reasonable prices. I don't like to, I'm not in the space to have a bunch of the cool like terrarium type begonias right now, because I do not have a terrarium or like super humid space that I could keep those in. I would love one day to be able to have that, so I could have some more of the more like funky alien type begonias. But for now, yeah, loving this. Loving this. All right, guys, so that is going to be it today, because I am pooped and I have to go take a final. But I appreciate all of y'all for coming back and sticking around, and all the new subscribers that have joined me even in my absence. I am hoping to not have as long of a period between uploads again, because I really enjoy making these videos, and you know, I'm going to try to squeeze them in whenever I can so that we can hang out and talk about plant stuff together. But if you like this video and you want to see more videos like this from me, please like, please subscribe. Helps the channel so much. I appreciate it so much. And I will see you guys in the next one. Okay, bye.